Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, and we're reaching you live right here from Channels Television's global headquarters. I am Bukola Koka. Our top stories. 27 defected Rivers lawmakers withdraw impeachment notice on Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Minister of Labour resigns from the Federal Executive Council to take his seat at the Senate. And Rivers State Governor approves 100,000 Naira Christmas bonus for state civil servants. And now let's begin this lunchtime with the story from Rivers State, where the 27 defected lawmakers have withdrawn the impeachment notice on the state governor, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara. The lawmakers withdrew the notice during their sitting within the assembly quarters in Port Harcourt, the state capital. The lawmakers who defected from the ruling PDP to the All Progressives Congress had sat this morning with the sole agenda of withdrawing the notice of impeachment that they served on the governor, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara. This resolution may not be unconnected to the truce agreement reached between Mr. Fubara, his predecessor, Mr. WIke+, and other participants at the meeting. As part of the agreement, the impeachment is to be stopped while the lawmakers are to be recognized and its leader, Martins Amewule, as the speaker with their emolument and allowances paid.
Financial officer, the manager of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In the meantime, the state governor, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, had a day before expressed his willingness to make this much sacrifice as the needed requirement to bring lasting peace to his state. The governor said this following President Tinubu's intervention in the ongoing political crisis in the state. He was speaking at the third convocation and Founders' Day ceremony of the Peter and Mary Odili University of Medical Sciences in Port Harcourt. Governor Fubara, who got emotional while giving his speech, said no price is too big to pay for peace.
Let me say this to my dear states. I call you my dear state because the support you have shown within this period is unmeasurable. From quarters, but ordinarily, I don't even have any contact with them, but they have stood by us. I want you to know that there is no amount that is too big to pay for peace. I'll continue to pay it.
And the former governor of Rivers State, Dr. Peter Odili, has been commending the performance of Governor Fubara. Dr. Odili commends him for hitting the ground running since taking over the saddle of the state and expresses confidence in him performing well. The former governor, who was present at the peace meeting with the president, was governor between 1999 and 2007. He spoke at the same convocation ceremony where Mr. Fubara spoke.
To our social visitor, who has been grappling with governance. Governance is not easy business. And those of you who have had a little taste of it will confirm that it is not come and eat. But the governor has hit the ground running. And as our people say, a good dance begins with the first step. Mr. Governor, your first steps are correct. And there is no doubt that you will dance well.
And reactions have continued to follow the truce agreements reached at the presidential villa. Human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana says the president cannot reinstate the defected lawmakers since, according to him, their seats have become vacant after their defection. He insists that the intervention of the president must have constitutional backing, otherwise it's only advisory. Mr. Falana described the reinstatement of the lawmakers, which is part of the 8-point resolution, as alien to the Constitution. In a statement, the senior advocate of Nigeria declares the seats of the cross-carpeting members have been declared vacant by the Speaker, known to law. To that extent, the Independent National Electoral Commission is mandatorily required to conduct the by-election once the ex parte order issued by the Federal High Court last Friday is quashed. According to him, the legislators can only retain their seats if they can prove that the political party that sponsored them is divided into 2 or more factions. And the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has also differed with the details of the president's intervention. The party's national chairman, Mr. Umar Damagum, stated this at a news conference in Abuja, where he says INEC must conduct elections to fill the seats of the State Assembly lawmakers who defected to the All Progressives Congress. The PDP leadership also vows to take disciplinary actions against former Governor Nyesom Wike at the appropriate time, along with other members of the party who worked against the party.
PDP demands that INEC should, in line with Section 1091 and G and Section 8415 of the Electoral Act 2022, fix a date for the conduct of fresh election in the 25 state constituencies in Rivers State where vacancies have occurred by reason of the defection of the now former members, pending the determination of any suit in any court. Assuming there was real crisis, which you and me know there was no any crisis in this party. Assuming we planned the party into crisis, we will be here talking now. So I think we are doing everything possible, and we are not mindful of the fact that it's not only Wike. There are other people that also have worked against this party. When we get to that level, we'll sanction everyone. So if Wike today believe is above this party, we will be able to show him that he's not above the party. We have just about to inaugurate a committee to review the what happened in 2023 and come up with a report, not only about one person, but every other person who has one way or the other infringed on this party. Then after that, we will now sit down and see what kind of measures we are going to do to put our party together.
There's more criticism. This time it's from the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Ijaw National Congress, Chief Edwin Clark, who has described the 8-point resolution brokered by the president as undemocratic, unconstitutional and obnoxious. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Chief Clark says members of the Ijaw Nation are prepared to go to court to challenge the resolution, which he describes as oppressive and a deliberate attempt to erode the powers of Mr. Fubara. Chief Clark further explains that the authenticity of the document being paraded as the resolution is doubtful and highly skewed in favor of Mr. Nyesom Wike.
Wike? This is a man who has been the architect of the madness in politics in Rivers State. They started in Governor Day, when he was chief of staff. They disgraced him out of office. Today, Wike is spending Rivers State money trying to appease Governor Odili. Today, because President Tinubu want to please Nyesom Wike. Who is he? He has now decided to hand over the leadership, the political leadership of Rivers State to WIke. It is unacceptable to the people of Rivers State. I got information from Rivers State that that 8-point program decision was fake because it was not signed by former Governor Odili, Peter Odili, and Fulbright himself. He rejected it. How they came into signing it, nobody knows.
And now for more insight into the political situation in Rivers State, let's get the perspective of an associate professor of political science, University of Lagos, Dr. Kayode Ishola, who joins us now from Unilag. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Ishola.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon to you too. Let's start with the proceedings by the defected 26 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. They have withdrawn the impeachment notice against the governor. Should we take it for granted, or should we assume safely from this point that this is signaling the return of peace to Rivers politics?
I don't think so, because you cannot achieve that kind of peace that they desire through illegality. I mean, the Constitution is clear. Even if you sit down on a round table and you take decisions based on what to call family agreement, it becomes very difficult or impossible for you to implement such an agreement if it is not backed by the law. Illegality cannot be used to settle political scores. Somewhere, somehow, it will collapse and somebody will react. I don't think it is.
But Governor Fubara has said there's no price that is too high to pay for peace. Is this indicative of the possibilities that we would see in Rivers politics in the days to come, being he's conceding to the dictates of the agreement that President Tinubu brokered?
If you look at the draft agreement that was circulated in the social media, at least I got to see a piece of it, you will see that Governor Fubara was negotiating from a very weak position. And the resolutions of that agreement simply reflect so. And so for a man who negotiated from a very weak position, he will do anything and everything possible to seek peace because he wants to retain that office. But then saying it is one thing. The possibility of it is another thing. What we should know in Nigeria is that what is playing out in Rivers State at present is a reflection of the real situation of politics all over Nigeria. And I emphasize all over Nigeria. It is politics of stakeholders versus vested interest. It is politics of godfatherism. It is what I call I politics. Because if you have been following the interviews of the stakeholders, those who think they have power among them always emphasize what I did, the person I installed, the structure I put on ground. And that is a reflection of the state of our democracy in Nigeria. Perhaps it is going to evolve to a better stage tomorrow, but that is what is happening not only in Rivers State, but across Nigeria.
But with Minister Wike's men dominating his cabinet, that's if he accedes to all of the agreements in the document that has been signed, in his cabinet and at the State Assembly. Won't it then mean that he would have to be looking over his shoulder for every policy and legislation of government to successfully go through? How will this play out for the stability of his government? Dr. Ishola?
You're fine.
Okay, I understand that we're having a bit of network challenge, but I'll repeat the question for clarity's sake. I was trying to say that, granted that that's the nature of politics, but with Minister Wike's men dominating his cabinet, both at the State Executive Council and in the State Assembly, wouldn't it mean that it would have to be looking over his shoulder for every policy and legislation to go through? What does this mean for the stability of his government in the next 4 years?
Well, unfortunately, again, it was cracking, but I could pick a few words, especially the last questions about what it means for the stability of this government in the next 4 years. What for me is important.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't know.
When you come into
Dr. Shola, it appears that we have problems with your audio yet again. We can't quite hear you at all at this point. We'll try to return to you before the end of the program. I'm told you're back again. Go ahead if you're back then.
Yeah, I equally could not pick your voice. It was cracking, but I was trying to respond to it in terms of what will happen to the stability of the polity in Rivers State in the next 4 years. And my reaction, albeit theoretically, because I couldn't pick some of the words you said, is that when you come into power via conspiracy, you need more and more conspiracy to be able to sustain that power that you hijack. And when I look at the River State situation, that is what I see in naked form. To what extent did the choice of Fubara represent the yearnings and aspirations of the River State people in the first place? If this is laden with conspiracy, if it is laden with godfatherism, it means that interest will be more complicated in the next 4 years, and the kind of stability that may be achieved will be an unstable one itself, if you choose to use that phrase. I do not see River State politics gaining any stability in the next 4 years because of the conspiratorial situations that surround the emergence of Governor Fubara's office as the governor of the state.
Well, despite the debate around his emergence, precarious is the instructive word there about what may happen in the coming days. We would have loved to stretch the conversation a bit further, but because of the inclement nature of the network, would have to suspend it for now. We want to thank you very much, Dr. Kade Eshuola, Associate Professor of Political Science from the University of Lagos, who joined us from that institution. Thank you very much for your time on the program. And still to come on Lunchtime Politics, Governor Fubara approves 100,000 Naira bonus for civil servants in Rivers State. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're staying in Rivers State, but this time on a lighter note and in line with the festivities. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has approved a Christmas bonus of 100,000 Naira for each civil servant in the state. The bonus will be received by workers in the different ministries, government departments and agencies. The State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Mr. Joe Johnson, said the approval was given for immediate implementation to enable the civil servants have a wonderful Yuletide celebration. Governor Fubara had previously expressed his desire to improve the welfare of civil servants in the state and serve the interests of low-income earners. During the presentation of the 2024 budget proposal of 800 billion naira to the Edison Ehie-led Rivers State House of Assembly last week, the governor promised to fill the manpower gap in the civil service by fast-tracking the recruitment process of staff into the service. Governor Fubara, who is the immediate past Accountant General of the state, is the first civil servant to serve as the governor of Rivers State. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Simon Lalong, has resigned his position at the Federal Executive Council. Mr. Lalong is leaving the council to take his place at the Senate, where he will be representing the Plateau South Senatorial District. In his letter to the President, the former minister appreciated the privilege to serve in the President Tinubu administration and promised to continue to support the administration even on the floor of the Senate. The senator-elect is expected to be sworn in today. And following the restoration of peace to hitherto warring communities of Ifon and Ilobu in Irepo-Odun local government area of Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed that the curfew imposed on the two communities be lifted with effect from today, Wednesday, the 20th of December, 2023. A press statement signed by the Commissioner for Information, Mr. Kolakpo Alimi, and made available to newsmen, reveals that the governor has directed Osun residents in the two communities to go about their normal businesses without any hindrance. The statement released by Alimi reads in part, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has viewed with satisfaction the return of peace to Ifon and Ilobu communities in Irepo-Odun local government area. While the Osun State government truly acknowledges that lasting peace and order may seem to have been restored, a 24-hour surveillance should still be strictly observed and maintained by the eagle-eyed Joint Security Task Force in both communities. In December 2022, an age-long dispute over land ownership resurfaced and erupted into violence in both communities, resulting in widespread fear and casualty. And now let's return to our conversation on Rivers politics, as we have joining us for more information into what's happening there, the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Joe Johnson. Mr. Joe Johnson, thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Politics.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. Now, the question on the lips of everyone is about that document, and they're raising eyebrows over whether that signature on that document indeed belongs to Governor Fubara, because it doesn't carry the red color that is significant, that is characteristic of an executive governor. So confirm to us if indeed it was Governor Fubara that signed that document.
There's nothing to doubt about it. We have gone beyond the issue as to who signed and who didn't sign. If you listen to the governor at the Pamo University convocation ceremony yesterday, he said no amount is too high no price is too high for peace. And the Bible that we all profess says we should pursue peace with all men at all costs. So we have gone beyond who signed and who didn't sign. We are all at intervention by His Excellency the President.
Unfortunately, we're having network problems, but we're optimistic that this will be resolved before the end of the program. Mr. Joe Johnson, you have indeed confirmed that it's the governor that signed the document. So is it indicative of what is to come in Rivers State? Will he be implementing the dictates of the agreement that's paying the allowances of the defected governor, state assembly members, and indeed recognizing them and the Speaker, Martins Amewule, as the Speaker of the State Assembly?
Well, Mr. Governor is a stickler to the rules, and if His Excellency the President has intervened, I do not see him as derailing. He's not a man of perfidy. He will not say something and do the other. In the next couple of hours, I will be unveiling some of the approvals His Excellency had already given as an indication that he's prepared for peace. I'm sure that it will be part of the process to show that we are committed to it.
Now, many believe that the governor was negotiating from a very weak position. How much room, from what you gathered from the governor, how much room or space did he have to present his own demands at that peace meeting?
I was in that meeting, and for anybody to say that the governor was negotiating from a weak position is an overstatement. I take exception to it. The governor had been on his toes, and he's been up and ensuring that things work smoothly for the general interest of Rivers people, not just for himself. So it would be unfair to allude to the fact that he was. I don't know what strength we're talking about. It's not a combative game to say that we showed strength, but the fact of the matter is that we want total restoration of peace to enable His Excellency deliver on his mandates.
But you have just said that the governor himself admitted, at the convocation ceremony of Rivers and Peter and Mary Odili University, that there is no price too high to pay. And that's why perhaps many are saying that, the governor is willing to do anything to retain his position as governor. Is that what is happening here? Is the governor bowing to pressure so that he can retain his seat, and particularly because his case has not been determined fully and finally at the law courts?
There's no pressure from anywhere. When people disagree, they are bound to come to a round table. And then you state your position, the other state sees. And then you come to compromise. If that is what you call weak point, I doubt if we understand what conflict resolution truly is. But the fact of the matter is that the governor is prepared to give what he promised Rivers people during his electioneering campaign. And that is just what is focused on, not on a selfish desire to keep weak position. He was elected by Rivers people. He has the mandate of the people. And the onus lies on him to deliver on his promise.
And finally, just in a few words, if you can tell us, Mr. Johnson, is the governor accepting it also that the 26 state assembly members don't have to return to the PDP before they can be recognized?
I will not be able to speak for the assembly. I speak for the government of Rivers State. I don't speak for the assembly. So if there's anything that will come in the way of the assembly, maybe we need to redirect it. But to say that this morning, His Excellency has approved 100,000 to civil servants, and that's a cheering news. It's something that has never happened before. And then I'm sure that civil servants in Rivers State who on the state payroll will agree that the last time they experienced it was in the reign of Sir Peter Odili, who paid 20,000 for His Excellency.
We must end it there. We really have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe Johnson, Commissioner for Information, Rivers State. And that ends the program for today. You have been served Lunchtime Politics. Join us again, same time tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.